I cheated on my husband of 14 years and lost him forever. I apologize in advance for the length of this message, but I needed to get it off my chest. The relationship between my husband, 36M, and myself, 36F, has lasted 14 years, and we've been together for 16 years. Our only children are our two daughters, who are 13 and 12 years old. I cheated on him with a coworker around 3 months ago and immediately regretted my actions. To be really honest, I haven't figured out why I cheated yet. According to the surface of things, the explanation would be that my partner was too focused with work for a few months, which resulted in my feeling forgotten and unwanted at various points. That is not the fundamental problem, and as a result I am working with a therapist to determine what is. I only cheated on him once, and I confessed to him the next day because I couldn't hold back my feelings of sorrow and embarrassment. He was taken aback at first, but then began to call me the most deplorable terms imaginable. I'd worked hard for it. I was entitled to a great deal more than that, though. I'm not sure how it came to be that I was sleeping with my coworker, but it did. My relationship with him started as an innocent flirtation, and before I knew it, I had committed the worst mistake of my life by sleeping with him. When I woke up the next morning, I wished I'd been hit by a car instead of sleeping with him. I cut off all connection with my coworker and gave my phone to my husband to use in the meantime. Ultimately, I hoped to persuade him that I was willing to work under his terms and conditions, whatever they were, as long as he provided me with another chance. Despite the fact that I felt in my heart that I needed another chance to prove myself, I assured him that I would understand if he decided to file for divorce nevertheless. In any case, I told my husband that I would do whatever it took to restore his faith, and I expressed my regret and sorrow for having caused such a serious injury to him. My husband has always been the kind of guy who feels that everyone should be given just one chance in life. In his personal relationships, if he felt that trust had been broken, he would not give the other person another chance. The man said that he desired a divorce, but owing to the quarantine he was unable to leave the house for about 2 months, and the divorce was not finalized as planned. It took him about a month to warm up to me, and the only time we spoke was when it came to our daughters. He was staying with me, so I slept on the couch and tried to give him the space he needed, only sometimes reminding him that if he ever wanted to figure things out, I'd be more than willing and completely devoted to the process of helping him figure things out. Within that month, he even expressed himself in a harsh manner against me and completely cut off communication with me. There was a noticeable improvement in the second month, when he reestablished communication. Wanted to sweep this matter under the rug. We were in our bedroom one night, drinking a little bit and just talking, when I realized that we were reestablishing a genuine connection. It seemed as if we were falling in love all over again, which made me really pleased. This is the section of the book that I now regret. I decided to make a pass on him while we were both laughing at a joke and straddled him. I began making out with him as soon as we locked gazes and looked each other straight in the eyes. We had the sensation of being 20 all over again. In response to my kiss, he broke down and sobbed for a few moments. He explained to me that he was unable to stop and that he couldn't. I was devastated since I got the idea he wanted to, but didn't follow through. Knowing directly how much my careless decision had wounded him broke my heart beyond measure. I expressed my regrets to him, and we both went to bed. I remarked that I regret doing so since I think it has permanently damaged mine with me. We spoke about daily topics and even sat together as a family to watch movies with the girls. When I got the impression that he intended to try to make things right, I was pleased. In my excitement, I discovered a chance to save my family, to save us all from certain doom. At some point over the course of many days, I began to sense that we were rekindling our relationship with one another. He even invited me to return to the bed and sleep there again. It was really working well, and I reminded him that he could come to me with any issues he was experiencing. It took just a few weeks for us to become even great friends. We were spending quality time together as a family once again, and we had grown closer as a result of it. Despite the fact that I was happy with how things were going, I wish I had offered marriage counseling. In my heart of hearts, I didn't want to put any pressure on him or give him the impression that I was trying to convince him not to divorce me or that I relationship with him. He informed me that he had made the decision to divorce me 2 days later. Even though he has been trying to make things work for the last 2 months, he said that he just does not feel he will be successful. I wanted to get into a heated debate with him about it, but instead I just assured him that I understood what he was saying. We had already agreed that, in the event of a divorce, it would take place on amicable terms. We'd individually retained our own lawyers, but we'd come to a lot of decisions as a group. After returning from his 2-week trip, he intended to pick up the girls from their school. We both agreed that once he returned from his trip, we would split the time with the girls. They would split their time between him and me for half of the week. In fact, I assisted him in packing his possessions, and when we were through, I just bawled my eyes out and we held one another. Although it was wonderful to see him again after his 2-week vacation, I knew it wouldn't be the same as the previous time we had spent together. Before he took the females, he only smiled and engaged in a brief conversation with us. We're both terrific parents who are concerned about the well-being of our children. I was served with divorce papers today, which was a surprise. It is quite painful to realize that I have lost my best friend as a result of my foolishness. When I wake up in the morning and turn over to his side of the bed, I discover that I no longer sense his presence there. I miss his aroma, his grin, and the sound of his voice. The sound of his booming, lovable laugh would fill the room as he came in. I adore him, but I adore him much more. Knowing how badly I've damaged the person I care about the most is the most painful part of this whole ordeal. I wish I could go back in time and undo all I've done, but that's not possible. So here I am, weeping while I talk about it on Reddit, knowing that there is nothing I can do to change the situation in my life. When I think about how sorry I am and how committed I would be if given another chance, I wish I could express to him how I really feel in my heart about how sorry I am and how I would be the most dedicated wife ever. I wanted to tell him how much I love him and that I would go to any length to help him out. I completely botched the most brilliant idea that had ever come to me. I wish I could bring him back, but I'm certain that I've lost him for good at this point. Story 2. Wife had an affair and now am stuck in a rut. Help please. So my 11-year-old wife, with 2 children, had an affair. They largely, although they did me up a couple times and get a little physical. She claims they never had intercourse, but he placed his hand in her trousers and she refused to reciprocate. I discovered out via an anonymous email. When I asked her about it, she acknowledged but denied the physical aspect. Then I received a weird phone call in which I was informed that it was a physical affair. However, there aren't many specifics. She told me a few things after I received the phone call, but I know she hasn't told me everything, particularly about one of the locations they met. With some detective work, I found this spot. She is making steps to repair the marriage, but I know she hasn't been completely honest with me. I'm sure they met someplace she hasn't told me about. She admitted to some other places. How do I go about it? Should I forget about it and move on since she is making an effort? It's also conceivable that she lied about the intensity of the affair and that it was far more physical than I imagined. I adore my children and cannot fathom my life without them every day. I also adore my wife, and I want to repair our marriage. We're in marital counseling, but this is proving difficult. Any suggestions would be much appreciated.